Welcome, everybody, to the CFL Weekly Pickup Show. We were at week 3 on the Grizzly True Sports Network. The CFL Weekly Pickup Show is brought to you by Replenishing Care, the future of sports medicine. If you want to find out more about that PEMF machine, make sure you go to thegruelingtruth.net and click on the Replenishing Care button. I am your host for the CFL Pickup Show, Mike Goodpaster, and right now I want to welcome in my co-host, Brian Schmidt. How you doing, Schmitty?
Doing great. Week 2 in the books. Getting ready for week 3.
Yeah, and we'll see. So, what's your take on the quarterback injuries?
Well, Caleres out, 6 games, Ray significant injury. I mean, every year in the CFL, it really does come down to A, what quarterbacks stay healthy the longest, and B, how good is your backup? And we're going to find out a lot about Toronto and Saskatchewan here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and I think Saskatchewan, they've got a backup that may be able to hold it together here for those 6 weeks. But I think the question with Caleres is, is he ever going to be healthy? It's been a couple of years since he's been healthy for any significant time, and right now you got to wonder if it's ever going to be like that again for him.
Yeah, it's been. I think I saw. This is the 3rd year where he's missed significant time. So you really do have to wonder that. But again, from a standpoint of these teams that take these guys, it comes down to you hope they stay healthy, but you better have a good backup because you better have a good plan B. Because if you're putting all your eggs on a guy that's got injury problems as your plan A and you don't have plan B, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, but I do think Saskatchewan and Toronto are in better shape than they have been in the past to overcome this. So we'll see what happens there. But we do know this. We did not do a good job of picking games last week. So we're going to take a mulligan on that week. And the game that surprised me the most was Ottawa and Saskatchewan. I know going into this, Ottawa kept saying that their defense was a lot better than what it had been. But, of course, you don't know that till you see them in the game. But the Ottawa Red Blacks shown on both sides of the ball en route to a 40-17 win over the visiting Rough Riders. Trevor Harris threw for 345 yards, a pair of touchdowns. William Powell found the end zone twice. Deontay Spencer, dynamic playmaker as always. The Red Blacks look like they could be a serious threat. I know this is early in the season, but that was a complete team effort.
Yeah, it was. That was a complete team effort. But, again, that cautioning statement, we've seen Ottawa do this early before and then fall off. And then, a couple of years ago, then come playoff time, they got hot. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. If you can keep Trevor Harris healthy, you've got a shot. You always have a shot. But I felt like Ottawa was much better defensively than we've seen too. I was, pretty impressed defensively with what I saw. So, granted, Caleres went out and all that kind of thing, but still, there's a little bit better defensive performance than we've seen from them in the past.
Yeah, and Saskatchewan's defense, which was dominant in week 1, definitely wasn't in week 2. As we said, William Powell ran for almost 100 yards. Trevor Harris kind of had his way with him. So, there's got to be some concern in Saskatchewan, especially losing Zach Caleres.
Right. Again, it's early, but you're going to have to regroup after that performance and, really see where you're going to get as far as your backup quarterback. Again, it helps when it's early. It allows you to be able to make some changes if you need to do some things, but it's going to be interesting here to see how they go forward.
All right, and we look at game 2 of the week. You had the Bombers dominated in all phases. They destroyed the Alouettes 56-10. Any questions surrounding rookie quarterback Chris Streveler's ability to lead the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? I think we're answered on Friday night. I know Montreal's not a great team, but this is the second game in a row where this kid has played really well.
Yeah, he really did. And again, you went into it with the exact comment. It is Montreal, but you put up 56 points. I mean, that's saying something. And second game in a row that he's been real impressive. I like the way that they're game planning with. They're not putting the game on his shoulder and they're letting him manage it, but yet they're allowing him to be in a position to make plays without having to be the guy that's on the shoulders. They're getting everybody involved, and so a very solid game plans both weeks, and he's been very impressive.
All right. Right now we're currently calling Robert.
Hello.
There you go. How you doing,
Hello.
Robert? Robert Drummond,
pretty good. How's it
five-time
going,
Grey
Mike?
Cup winner. Yeah, we called your phone that first time before we came on air, and it sounded like there were some aliens in your answering machine.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm over my girlfriend's house, and it's like for some reason I never can get service over here. I mean, I go like the 1 bar and 2 bars, so finally I just end up using her phone.
You on T-Mobile like I am?
No, I'm actually on Verizon.
Oh man, Verizon's usually solid everywhere. I thought. I
Yes,
guess
it is. I mean, I thought so too.
Yeah, I guess we're going to have to be quiet or we'll never get Verizon as a sponsor. Yeah, we already talked about Saskatchewan, Ottawa a little bit. We were in the middle of talking about Winnipeg and Montreal. And, Robert, can Montreal win a game this year?
You would hope so because they're professional athletes, but it doesn't look like it. That's a team in disarray. I mean, they're really having issues right now.
Yeah, and I don't really see a roster there that is conducive to turning this around anytime soon.
No, I mean, I don't even see anything for going forward with players, that can be conducive on that team to win games not just now but in the future. I mean, they're as we say, they're a hot mess right now.
Yeah. Then we're going to go to the Edmonton Eskimos. They had no answer for Jeremiah Masoli, Johnny Manziel, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats offense on Friday night. He led them, versatile quarterback, 38-21 win. Now, we've seen this in the past where Masoli has played well here and there but not really been consistent. You think maybe Masoli's got this figured out finally?
I think Mazzoli's to the point now where he has someone like Manziel, just sitting behind him, where it brought the competition to him up that much higher, And from a standpoint of as a football player, when you have some, behind you or somebody who they're looking for a reason to put in the game, you always seem to shine. You always seem to step up. I myself, when I first saw Johnny Manziel play, I said to myself, wow, he's the perfect type quarterback for the CFL. He's athletic, he's heady, he's smart as a football player. But they said Damon Allen used to always play. Tell me when I play with him, it's so hard for a quarterback to adjust to the CFL game because if you're on one side of the field and you're throwing a wide field out, you're throwing the ball almost 65 yards. In the NFL, you're throwing it 40 yards. That's a big difference, and some guys get intimidated by that. So Mazzoli right now is just playing unbelievably. He's playing very, very good football right now. My hats off to him.
Yeah, and let's face it, Manziel did look good in the preseason. I thought the same thing when I saw him. You did. But we also know in the preseason, whether it's CFL or NFL, the defenses are really vanilla, and it's a lot easier to do that than it is later.
Correct.
And, Brian, my question with Edmonton is the same question we had last week. With Mike Riley, they're capable of beating anybody. But with no defense at all, it's going to be hard to win a Grey Cup.
Yeah, it is. Really very disappointing defensive performances in the last 2 weeks. Right? Certainly thought they were going to be better, but this looks kind of what we saw last year, where Edmonton's going to have to win shootouts every week, and that's not conducive to winning a Grey Cup.
No, not at all.
No, it's not.
Not conducive to winning in any situation. I think we may have read too much into Calgary Stampeders not looking that good last week as they came out, and Bo Levi Mitchell definitely did not have a poor outing this week. Threw for 324 yards, 3 touchdowns, spoiled the Argonauts home opener with a 41-7 win. Brian, this just looks like the same old Calgary Stampeders.
It really does. The New England Patriots, the CFL. They just
pretty much
every year they just do it. It's almost to the point where I sometimes feel a little not bad, but a little bit, I can't believe that, more people just every year they've tried to find a reason to think that Calgary Stampeders are going to somehow step down, and it never happens. I don't see it happening. You got Levi Mitchell, who's a very consistent quarterback. You've got, really good players. You've got guys that really believe in the system, very good in the system, and they just win football games.
Yeah, and you look at this. They lose Jerome Messam, maybe the best running back in the league. Now Don Jackson for the second way. I mean, this week he was 9 carries for 123 yards. Terry Williams is 12 for 70 yards. And I think this all comes back to this. They had some turnover in their roster. People thought they'd be down. But that offensive line is still the best offensive line in the CFL, Robert.
I agree. I mean, it's to a point where it's like, they are the New England Patriots of the CFL. They just find a way to put guys into a system to make it work. I mean, I thought, honestly, when they lost Messam, I thought they were in a lot of trouble. But, you have guys, that could step into the role and do the exact same thing, which is exactly what the Patriots do. They'll trade a guy away and they'll put a guy in the same position and do the exact same thing. They have an outline to success, and it seems to be working for them and good for them.
All right, so this week, we'll go ahead and look at the games for this week. We've got Ottawa at Calgary. When you look at this game, I mean, I think this is the best matchup of the week, Robert. Who do you like in this?
I mean, I got to go with Calgary because of what I said before, the consistency. They're just a consistent team, and they find it. They find and win the win early so they can win late. Calgary's just a well-run organization from top to bottom. Ottawa's got its problems, but Calgary's just a well-run organization. They're always a machine.
All right, Brian, what's your take on this one?
Man, I agree with Robert 100%. There's a gut feeling that I want to take Ottawa in this just because early on in the season, this Ottawa-Calgary, series, especially when they play early in the season, has always been great games. But Calgary at home, I just don't know that Ottawa will have enough, so I'll take Calgary.
All right, now, the Red Blacks hammered Riders last week in a game where they didn't need to shake off any preseason rust. This week is going to be a lot harder to put up 40 points, so I think their defense is going to come into play a lot more. But I think when you look at this, I just don't think Ottawa is going to be able to score enough points against the Calgary defense, and I think we're really going to find out for sure just how good that Red Blacks defense is because, as you know, Robert, we've talked about the first few weeks not really meaning that much. And
no,
how many times have we seen, like last year, was it last year that the Chiefs come out and they beat the Patriots like 48-20 in New England and everybody's like, New England's dead and Kansas City starts off 5-0, but who's in the Super Bowl at the end?
Yeah, it's like a seaman going out to sea. They always say getting your sea legs first. You have to get used to situations and adapt and adjust to it at the beginning. Football players are the same way coming out of training camp. They're tired. They're worn out from from the 2 weeks of training camp, and they just want to get adjusted and acclimated to the normal conditions. And that's going to take about 5 to 6 to 7 weeks. The game's really going to be decided after 5 to 6 to 7 weeks. But for right now, it's those teams that can get those, get 3, 4, 5, 6 wins in the beginning that'll really show strong strength and improvement toward the end. It's not how you start; it's how you finish.
Yeah, you basically set yourself up at the start.
Correct.
Hell, look at the Indianapolis Colts. Seem like every year they go 13-0 and then end up losing in the first round of the playoffs.
That's true.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers at the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Schmitty. I think this is a great matchup too. Hamilton, I think, looks better than people thought they were. They're coming off a huge win in Edmonton. The Blue Bombers with Chris Strevler have not missed a beat. I think the Blue Bombers actually have the better roster, but I think this game's a toss-up.
I think the potential for this to be a good game, but I'm not ready to jump on the Hamilton bandwagon just yet. I think Winnipeg is going to win this. I do think Hamilton is better, but I think we need to see more consistency out of Masoli. I think, we need to see more consistency as a team overall. And from that standpoint, I'll take Winnipeg.
All right, I'm going to take Winnipeg also. I think they have a better roster than Hamilton. And my big thing here, Robert, is just I want to see Jeremiah Masoli do this for more than 1 or 2 games. So I'm going to go with Winnipeg. How about you?
I'm going to go against both of you guys. I'm going to go with Hamilton for the simple fact of, I know what Masoli is going up against. He has something to prove. And it's not just to himself, because everybody throughout the country of Canada, just waiting to see, they know this former American Heisman Trophy winner, Johnny Manziel's in the wings. He's over his back. When's he going to get his playing time? And Masoli has something to prove. And when a player has something to prove, they go out there with an edge and a chip on their shoulder. They may not say it in their interviews. They may not say it in how they carry themselves and their demeanor and everything off the field. But trust me, I spent 15 years in the professional sport watching, and he has something to prove week in and week out. So he's going to go out there and play like that.
All right, next up, we've got the BC Lions at the Edmonton Eskimo. Edmonton comes in 1-1 after being beat down by Hamilton last week. I'm sure they'll be looking to get a little revenge, right the ship at home. BC comes off a week 1 against Montreal, which the only thing that worries me there is it was 22-10. When I look at this game, I think you have to go with Edmonton. I'm not sold on Jonathan Jennings. I think this could be a closer game than people think. But, Robert, when I look at this, I'm going with the Eskimos.
I'd love to go with the Eskimos, but, it's just that defense is just holy. That's one of the worst defenses I've ever seen. It's like, can they stop anybody? But it's thinking about it, I will go Edmonton, but watching that defense is going to give me problems throughout the year where they may make a run for it, but they're not going to go far until they correct what's wrong in their defense, especially the secondary. Holy smokes.
Yeah, that's why I think this is going to be a close game. I don't think they're going to play too many games that are blowouts unless they're the ones getting blown out.
No.
Brian?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Edmonton because I agree with you guys.
Are you in a tunnel? It sounds like you're in a tunnel, Schmidt.
Do I feel like, am I out of the tunnel yet?
Yeah, you're out of the tunnel.
Am I still in a tunnel?
No, you're
okay,
out
thank
of the tunnel.
God.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go with Edmonton, and I agree with you guys. My only reason for not picking BC in this is really kind of the same thing I talked about Hamilton is until we see Jennings be consistent, it's really hard to go with them in situations like this. And Mike Riley, I think will come back and kind of redeem himself in this game. He didn't have certainly a bad game in the last week, but I think we'll see them definitely put some points up. But it's going to be a close game, and I think it'll be a high-scoring game because Edmond can't stop air. So I think it'll be a high-scoring game.
All right, next up, we've got the Montreal. Go ahead. What you got, Robert?
Oh, I was going to say, like, when I tell you with a player playing with a chip on his shoulder, and the reason I say that, from a standpoint of, it's like when I left Baltimore and I was playing behind Mike Pringle. Granted, Mike Pringle was a great running back, a very talented running back, one of the best ever in the CFL. But I thought I was just as good. That's one of the reasons I chose Toronto over Montreal. I didn't want to go play behind him and be a backup because I didn't think I was a backup. I was a starter. And every time I played in Toronto, I played with a chip on my shoulder. So that's how I know, coming from inside of the mind of a player who has something to prove. So only has something to prove out there, being a backup to Johnny Manziel right now because everyone wants to see him play, but he's like, while I'm the starter, I'm a better player. So that's what I mean by when I say a player having a chip on his shoulder because he definitely does, and you can see it in the way he's coming around now. He's getting his sea legs back, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. That's a dangerous combination.
All right, the next game, the inept Alouettes, maybe we call them the Montreal Inepts or something, at the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Of course, Saskatchewan got the sad news today that they will be missing starting quarterback Zach Collaros for 6 weeks. So Brandon Bridge will have to take over, and I don't think I think Brian Schmidt could play quarterback, and I would still pick Saskatchewan in this game. Robert, what do you think?
A teddy bear could play quarterback in Saskatchewan.
Well, that's
in
what
this game.
Brian is. Brian's a teddy bear.
It does. It says a lot about. Montreal. When the second that goes down, they can just put anybody in there, and everybody double-digit points. Montreal's in a lot of trouble right now. And as I said before, you hate to see an organization do bad like that and struggle like that, but they're in that rut right now. They're the Cleveland Browns of the CFL.
All right, Brian, the teddy bear Schmidt. Do you want to take Montreal in this game?
No, I do not. I'm going to take Saskatchewan because I do agree that I could play quarterback and win this game. Might be the only game I win, but I could
You would
win
only
this game.
hand off, right?
I throw a hitch once in a while.
I don't.
Scream.
Okay, I'm finding that film from Owensboro where you're throwing the ball with Jared. I'm just doing it, and we're gonna put it up there. It was on the news there, Robert, and you've got to see it. You watch that, and you'll think Brock Osweiler was a Hall of Famer.
No kidding.
All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the Week 3 Pick'em show. Any final comments, Robert?
I mean, I just want to say, goes, to Ricky Ray, and because that was scary. I've been in situations like that where guys are carted up the field, and you never want to see that. But I was glad to hear that, he's responsive. He's out of the hospital right now, and he's doing okay. Maybe he's going to miss some time, but he's okay. He's healthy, and he's wise, and it's always good to hear that from a fellow Warrior.
All right, Brian, final words.
Going to be a great Week 3. Looking forward to all the games, and let's hopefully you and I won't need to use a mulligan again next week as we did this week. So.
Yeah, and I'm doing an internet search for that film of you throwing the ball during our practice. So, but guys, we will be back same time next week live on thegruelingtruth.net. If you go on tomorrow, you'll be able to find our latest installment of the NFL Legends Show. I interviewed former San Diego Charger, New Orleans Saint kicker John Carney. Make sure you listen to Survive in Advance with me and former Indiana Hoosier Steve Risley every day, Monday through Friday at noon. We'll have former Chicago Blackhawk Nick Boynton on Friday. But from there, we're going to go ahead and sign off. I want to remind everybody they can hear us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Brian Schmidt, Robert Drummond, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.